I wanted to talk a little bit about your trade management. How do you approach trade management and making sure that your losses don't overshadow your winners?
That's something that I didn't used to take very seriously because I just kind of figured, if there's good opportunities and I'm trading well enough on those good opportunities, even if I take some big losses, it will be more than made up for by the big winners. But I had a brutal wake up call, as probably most of the people watching this video have seen, when I drew down 850 grand in 50 minutes on ILAG. And that kind of slapped me in the face and told me, yo, you're not going to make this as a career if you don't focus on risk management. And since that point, I have added a daily max loss, as Nate recommends. And I've actually dropped that figure since I first put it in because I realized, what I had it at before still was just too much wiggle room because most trades that work, actually pretty much all the good trades that work for me, I'm never down a bunch on them. So there's really no need to give myself that much wiggle room. So after I had that drawdown, I had a 40K max stop that I put in. And then I believe I don't know if it was January or it might've been February. I think it was February this year. I took that 40K loss on BBBY the day where, you had the nice squeeze out, it comes back in, and there's the one day where it just goes insane. And that day, for whatever reason, I just got really stubborn and kept taking attempts on it, and ended up losing 40 grand. So after that, I dropped it down to 20 grand for my max stop. And since then, I don't think I've hit it. So it's been really good to get that risk under control. And the reason for that is I went and looked at the numbers for 2022, and I realized that I gave back pretty much half my year on just 3 mistakes, which if I had had a max stop, I would have completely avoided. And so I think that is just the number one thing, is having a max stop. But there's also certain situations where that max stop is not going to save you because it doesn't apply. So on OTC stocks, I could be wrong on this, but I'm almost positive that the max stop doesn't work on OTC stocks. And I'm also almost positive that it doesn't work in after hours. And so between those two things, like, those are situations where you could still easily get caught if you're being stubborn and you're only relying on the broker level max stop to save you. So I think an important thing for me is just having a number where, I think Nate actually talks about this, like your oh shit number, where it's like, I need to get out of this right now because something is not going right. And I have that number now. And for me, that number is 20K. But I start to feel off about a trade if I'm down, 5, 10K on it. And at that point, I just kind of pull the plug because it's not worth risking your year's profits just because you're being stubborn and trying to fight back out of one trade. And if you can avoid those big losses, the smaller gains really, really add up. And so this year I've done a much, much better job about that. And I think the last thing for me is just knowing what you want to do under certain situations. So where I got into trouble on ILAG was where it was up halting, and it didn't give me, any time to think about, should I be getting out here or whatever. And I just completely froze. And so I put in a rule after that if I am ever stuck over high a day in an up halt, like, say previous high a day was $10 and it just up halted at 10.20, I'm getting out on resumption 100% of my position every time if it's gapping up above it. And that has really saved me this year already several times on stuff where, like, I'm in too big, I get stuck in an up halt over high day, I'm like, damn it, I got to stop out now. And then I stop out and it goes another 50% higher and I lose 10K and it would have been, 30, 40K. And so I think that rule has been super helpful for me, but obviously it just depends on your personality and knowing where you tend to take the biggest losses. But I think that was where I took my biggest loss. And so I implemented that, and focusing on the risk management has just really helped me take my trading to the next level.